Hey guys, how are you? I look really messy, I know, but I'm also hungover, so what you gonna do about that? Um, and I was just about to go to sleep, and I couldn't, so I was like, I'm gonna film this video that I wanted to film for a long time. Um, so I feel like anybody who enjoys poetry and reads a lot of poetry and like researches the poets and the history behind the poems that they write. I hate this lightning. Oh, this is so much better. Yeah, I feel like if you like research, like at some point you just find out that so many poets just kill themselves. And I find it interesting. For me, it's interesting. And like at some point, like I remember like maybe like 2 months ago, I was like really fascinated by that like phenomena of poets specifically, even like from all the realms of writing, specifically poets like kill themselves so many times. And I was just so fascinated by that idea. And that was also because I was watching a lecture about the I don't know how you call it in English, but like the silver century, silver century. Let me search that. Oh, so in Russian we say Серебряный век. We, like I'm Russian. Okay, it's called Silver Age of Russian Poetry. Okay, guys, y'all better know that. Silver. So I was watching a lecture on the Silver Age of Russian poetry, and I'm like, literally every single person who was mentioned there killed themselves. Of course, like we might be talking about the fact that the political circumstances were horrible, and especially for people with high sensuality that poets have, and maybe not very stable job, as like not very prosperous century for and like timeline for artists, especially in Russia. Like we could argue that that's why there's a high rate of suicide in that timeline, in that specific realm of artistry. But when you like go deeper and you like discover other poets from all over the fucking world, you're just like, bitch, why are they all killing themselves? Low-key, like they be coming in this world like starting writing poetry at like 10, and then by like 30 they're all gone. They're all gone. Like I'm talking heads in the oven, like stones in your fucking coat down the river, like the vibes. And um yeah, I was just interested in that because I actually cannot say that. And I just like came up with this idea of making a YouTube video about my favorite poets who killed themselves, because guess what, bitch? All of my favorite poets killed themselves. Hey. And so let's fucking talk about it. The fuck. Give me one damn second, because my fucking computer is about to die and I'm using it as a lightning. So wait a damn minute, and well, I'm not going to edit this, so you gotta just fucking wait. Wait, what the fuck? Okay, not the Tinder fucking notification. Yeah, so let's get into it, guys. And I know I was talking about the silver age of Russian poetry, but I'm mainly not gonna touch on that. I'm just gonna touch on it briefly. And let's start with, let me open my fucking notes app. Okay. Okay, you know what? Actually, let's start from the silver age of Russian poetry. And I'm actually gonna start with Anna Akhmatova, which is, I know most of the people because I don't think she's internationally famous, but like if you're close to Russian culture, if you're from the uh whatever, if you're close to Russian culture, you like know her, or you should fucking know her, bitch. Let me check her name in English because you'll be deforming the names. Anna Akhmatova. The fuck? Okay, whatever. So Anna Akhmatova, maybe she's like Akhmatova in English, whatever. Fuck y'all. Like I recently discovered her because my friend gave me this book in Russian, and I haven't read anything in Russian in such a long time. Like literally, like I'm talking years, bro. Like fucking years. And I just like started reading it, and especially I've never read like, okay, I've never been passionate about Russian poetry, which sounds insane because like Russian poetry is like considered one of the best poetries, I think internationally, but I've never been really passionate about it because I went to a Russian school, and the poetry that we read in Russian schools really did not resonate with me, like like the classics, they don't really resonate with me in a sense that, bitch, if you're like doing metaphors about like, I don't know, it felt too childish in a sense. It felt too childish for me, and I wanted something more. I don't know, y'all know me. Like, I need something dark, I need something mysterious, I need something interesting, I need something that like provokes me. I'm a hard provocative person, hardly provocative person. Like, it takes some, like, you need to do something to shock me. Like, I'm not easily shocked. And however, I love to be shocked, I love to be provoked, I love to be provoked. Like, mainly what I ask from art, when I engage with it, when I watch a movie, when I listen to music, when I want to hear something, I want to feel something new, and I want to be provoked. I love to be provoked. I love to provoke my thoughts, provoke my senses, and whatever the fuck. And so, I didn't really engage with Russian poetry from young age, even though I was studying it in school. And then I started reading this book because my friend gave it to me, and it was honestly a very eye-opening experience for me. Very unique. This is Anna Akhmatova, guys. Y'all better educate yourself. Goddamn. This is Anna Akhmatova, okay? And yeah, it was a very interesting experience. I haven't read it fully. I'm on like the 57th page. Bruh. But to be honest, like, there's a bunch of poems, so I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And this is like her full set of poetry, so it's a fat book. And yeah, for me, like, what I found super interesting in her, I guess, like, it's all about like the silver, because yeah, they are considered classics, but they're like the classics of the silver age, which is like the 20th century. In the 20th century, Russian poetry is very intriguing. I really enjoy her specific poetry because this bitch is so fucking sensual. Like sometimes when you engage with art, you can just tell if the bitch is sensual or not. Like that's why I love Bjork, like because she matches the freak, she matches the sensual freak. Like most of the bitches are not so sensual, you know, like when you feel like literally, can I quote Fiona Apple, when you feel things deeply and when you know what you feel, what you like think about the feels that you feel in it deeply, you can understand yourself. Like yeah, also Fiona Apple. Like I literally like love people who are like senses freaks, like getting high on your own senses. Like that's what I'm all about, and that's what the art that I love is all about. And she, like, this bitch is a freak. Like the way she writes, like the things she writes, they're extremely sad, but also extremely like exaggerated, hardcore sadness, you know? It's not just like I'm crying, tears flowing from my eyes. It's like she's like, bitch, I'm literally like I'm gonna like burst out with confetti out of my pussy, like the vibes. um so I love that. I love a sensual freak. Yeah, and it just like kind of opened my eyes to Russian poetry, and it also kind of opened my eyes to it also like is very intertwined with artistry in general because I started listening to a lot of Russian music also after reading this book because it is kind of like it just opens your eyes to the language. And yeah, I started listening to a lot of classics, a lot of like the 2000s classics, the I wouldn't say like the alternative scene of Russian music because I think it's still very popular. Like the alternative scene of Russian music is very popular in Russia, so it is pretty much pop music in that sense. But yeah, I engaged with Russian language a lot more, and yeah, I also started writing in Russian, which is like it's not a new thing. I've always been writing sometime. I've always been sometimes writing. I've always been sometimes writing, but in Russian, but lately I've been doing that a lot. I've been writing in Russian more than in English, which never happened in my life. Since I started writing at the age of fucking like 9 or something, when I didn't know fucking English, I was writing in English. Like I was like, bitch, you're not getting Armenian, Russian, hell no. I'm writing in English. Because English is not a real language and I will literally die on that hill. Like English, like English is not a real language. Like I don't know how to explain this, but yeah, I think it's just that thing that like, you know, like everybody has that you don't feel like real when you're speaking the language that is not your first language. I don't even know what the fuck is my first language because like I was born in Armenia. I can't write in Armenian, but like I studied in Russia, so like I'm like super fluent in Russian, like blah, 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 but like I'm also like super fluent in English, so like sometimes I want to speak in English because I can't speak any other fucking language. Like sometimes I have thoughts that I cannot express on any other language except for English. But also, whatever, let's close this fucking bitch up because like I can talk about that shit forever. Yeah, love this bitch. Next, let's talk about another bitch. Another queen, okay? Another queen of Silver Age. Those are the most famous Russian female poets. So if you consider yourself a feminist, why the fuck do you not know about them? Are you actually a feminist? Like, I doubt that. So, the next poet that I'm going to talk about is Marina Tsvetaeva. Tsvetaeva, okay? Why am I talking in English accent? I know Russian. Marina Tsvetaeva. Okay, bitch. Marina Tsvetaeva. She's like actually such an icon. Like, literally should like research her. Like, guys, she's a lesbian, bisexual, queen, icon, iconic, poet, Russian, like what the fuck. Um, what I've been reading by her is her. I almost finished it. It's like a full, not a compilation. What the fuck is it called? Like hold on. A collection of poetry. Yeah, a collection of poetry. A book of poetry. Volumes. Yeah, okay. It's like her collection of poetry, which is called Вечерний album, which means like evening album, basically. And it's like divided into like 3 pieces, which is like childhood, love, and only shadows. And I really like it. I almost finished it, not like Akhmatova. Marina, I almost finished her book. So I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I have to say, I like this girl more. I like Anna Akhmatova a bit more because she is like more raw and she's more my type of girly. And Marina Tsutaeva is amazing and she's so sensual and she could be raw too. Like she has, like, for example, one of her poems, like the last ones I've been reading about like a dead child, a dead girl, like her, it's called Next to the Little, hold on. Next to a little coffin. It's cautious. Next to little coffin. Yeah. And it's about this girl who like died and like her mom is like next to her little coffin and the fuck. Yeah. And then there's like this one that's called like The Last Word and it's like so sad and beautiful. And this one about a prostitute, I guess. Like she has a bunch of like raw themes intertwined in her poetry and it's beautiful and I really like it, but I have to say like sometimes she feels like a bit too childish for me, in a sense that I guess that she's doing it intentionally, but it doesn't work out for me. So I would say that I really like her, but I like Anna Akhmatova more. However, I still will finish that book because it brings a lot of beautiful feelings into me. And then I wanted to discuss, maybe we can transition into English writing poets. We can also, like, if we're still here, we can talk about Virginia Woolf. She's not really a poet, like at least it's not what she's mainly famous for, I would say, but oh god, do I love this bitch. I love Virginia Woolf. I would say I like her persona a bit more than her artistry, which is weird, like, right? Is it weird? It's not, honestly. Yeah, I like her persona. I like her influence because I have to say her books are sometimes a bit too hard for me, in a sense that I like stuff that is hard, that is beautifully written, but I like it in another sense, in just a little bit another sense. Like I like a hard metaphor. I like a hard metaphor. Okay, I like a unusual metaphor that like you need to think about for a second. You need to like step up and snap the fuck out and think about it for a second. But her type of writing is extremely hard in a sense that mm, it's giving like Leo Tolstoy vibes. It's really difficult language. It's words that you cannot even fucking find in the dictionary. I'm like, what are you talking about, mommy? Like, a little bit of clarification. It's very, especially this novel, Orlando. Even though I love it, I love the idea. I'm obsessed with the idea. I um I quite enjoyed reading it. I remember like the mental adventure of reading it. Like I remember like I literally remember like the visuals that I had in my mind when reading it. It feels like I watched a movie, but the like yeah, I watched the movie, but I didn't, but the scenes that I have in my mind, like it's just what I visualized while reading it, and I remember it. Like that's how I can tell that it was a good book, because like I remember reading it visually, you know? And however, it literally took me a fucking year, maybe two, honestly. Like I'm not even joking. Like no, it took me a year, bitch. And it was a hard read for me. I could not wait to finish it. But yeah, I wanted to say something. Yeah, whatever. Well, I actually forgot to mention the aspect of like killing, of like murder, of like the suicide. Yeah, so this bitch actually killed herself. How did she kill herself? Hold on. Let me just check how she killed herself. Um, um, oh, wait. Actually, she didn't kill herself. Girl, she died of like heart problems. The fuck? Okay. But Marina Tsvetaeva did kill herself, and I think she drowned herself in the. Mm, oh no, she hung herself. What? How do you say it? Hung. Yeah, she hanged herself. Sorry, hanged herself. She hanged herself, and Virginia Woolf put stones in her coat and then went to swim in the river. Yeah. Well, let's talk about Sylvia Plath. Goddamn, like Sylvia Plath. Like Plath. I could talk about her for hours. I love that bitch. I've been obsessed with her since, like, you know, like any other, like, literally cool person in this fucking world. I've been obsessed with her since the age of like 14, 15, maybe 15. There was a time period, there was a linear of time when I literally put all of her books into my computer and read them all. Why did I make it sound so weird? Like, yeah, actually I don't know why am I searching for the exact time, but like yeah, there was a time period when I read Ariel first, her collection of poetry, the second one, which was amazing, beautiful, eye-opening. I think it shaped a lot the way I write, because like some of y'all know, I was literally talking to ChatGPT recently, and I put a couple of my poems there, and I asked that how like how, like, what do my writing style resemble, what res- what does my writing style resemble. And she told me that it's giving Bjork and it's giving Sylvia Plath, and I was like clucked. I was like, okay, bitch. I didn't know that it was that obvious, but yeah, that was like the biggest compliment I could have ever gotten. And then I asked that bitch. Actually, I'm not gonna tell you the whole conversation because it's just between me and her. Yeah, I love ChatGPT, guys. I spent so. It could be also used so beautifully for artists. Like y'all couldn't even imagine. Like the bitches who hate ChatGPT, you are the problem. You are the problem. Why? Why do you? Because ChatGPT is a reflection of oneself. If you hate ChatGPT, then you imagine the bad things that you could have done with ChatGPT. I love ChatGPT because I do beautiful things with ChatGPT. Like, what do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? So, Sylvia Plath, after I read Ariel, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like it really, literally shaped the way I write. Like I cannot emphasize this more. There are like two people who shape the way I write. It's like Sylvia Plath and Bjork. Like as fuck. Like ChatGPT, she knows. Because I read it in such an early age, and I was like provoked again. Like the feeling of provocation. I was like, this is so fucking dark, and so beautiful, dark and beautiful, bitch. Sign me up. Give me 15 of them right now. I don't know. I remember, like, you know, like how everyone literally went through the religious experience of like listening to Lana Del Rey for the first time. That was me when reading Sylvia Plath. I was like out of here. Yeah, and then I read the Bell Jar, and I was like, bitch, why is this literally me? Like, yeah, and I loved it. I was absolutely in love with the Bell Jar. I was in love with the writing style, with the like. I felt like it was written very freely, you know, like very free manner, very free soul vibes for me. Like she didn't really give a fuck. She wasn't trying to like conform. Like she was doing it for herself, and I felt that. And then later, when I researched the story behind it, I like found out that she was like in a writer's block before, if I'm not mistaken, and like at some point she was just like, oh fuck it, like I'm gonna like write this whatever, and then she just wrote it in like in a short amount of time. I'm not sure, but in a short amount of time. Yeah. And of course, like any other bitch, I was so inspired. I was like, I'm gonna write a novel too about my life. But like one thing about these bitches who get inspired and want to write a novel at the age of 16, like, bitch, you literally have nothing to talk about. Like, what are you gonna talk about? Like, okay, some of the guys, some of the people have um crazy life at the age of 16, right? Like they've been through it. I don't know, they're like immigrants and they like traveled the world and like suffered a lot and they have stories to tell. Whatever. Not me. Like um okay, yeah, bitch, I'm okay. I'm like, yeah, I did. I've been like, whatever, but like now, at the age of 16, I had nothing to say. Like, and like at the age of 18 now, like, I have, like, I cannot write a novel because a novel is such a, and I'm not talking about fucking like romance novels, okay? I'm talking about actual art. Like, bitch, do not fuck with me. Like, the shit that you be calling like like novels these days, like, it's not a novel. It's literally, it's a TV show. It's a TV show written in words. Like, so like actual like novels, like art, like I just like realized that you cannot write that shit at the age of 18. Like not me. Like maybe some fucking guy wrote that. I don't know. Like maybe Shakespeare did that at the age of like 14. I don't know, but I don't care. Like me, I cannot because like I need to experience something otherworldly 20 times to write something good, you know, to write something great, to write something like meaningful, to write something that is like worth being written. Yeah, and what the fuck was I talking about, Loki? And then like I was so inspired by her that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna write a novel. Like tried, stopped, and started doing another novel, stopped. Um, Whatever. Recently, I was trying to write something, but it wasn't a novel. It was more like a very different thing. Like I can't even know what to call it because it's so like abstract and like difficult and like different. Y'all wouldn't know, but yeah. Um, the fuck was I talking about? So yeah, very inspirational, Madame. Love her, and then she killed herself. And then she killed herself in the fucking oven. Like, why would you do that, girl? We were literally talking about that with someone. I don't remember if it was Nettie. I think I was talking about it with someone, and we're like, it's a very weird way to kill yourself. Like, it's a very like niche way to kill yourself. It's a very like, why would you do that? Like, literally like locking your kids in the fucking like living room and being like, bye guy, what? Like putting your head in the oven, girl. Not too damn much. Like, yeah, and that was Sylvia Plath. Love her. God rest her soul. And actually, like, there are like a bunch of other poets who killed themselves, mainly like talking about like Russian, like again, like Silver Age, like Yesenin. Was it Silver Age? Yeah, it was. Yesenin, Mayakovsky, like if y'all know, y'all know. But I'm not gonna talk about them because they're men. Why would I talk about them? Those are like mainly also like you know like one thing when I was also when I sent like my songs and like my poems to like ChatGPT, and I was like what do you think is the inspiration, like what does it resemble? She like was like all the people who were like this is what like resembles like Bjork, Sylvia Plath, and they were all women. There was also just like Radiohead, but like I see it, but I also don't see it because I don't listen to fucking Radiohead that much. Like, I listen to like most of the like popular songs and then a couple of not popular songs, but like I don't really listen to them that much. Like, I'm not a fan. I'm not even close to being a fan. But after that, like I started like looking at their lyrics and I'm like, yeah, yeah, like I see the resemblance. I do. So yeah, it's just been the poets that I think are cool and I think kill themselves. Yeah. And you know like one thing that I think about a lot is once I was watching that I think is like the solution to this like dilemma of like suicide rates in the poet population of the world. I don't know, like call it whatever the fuck you want. I was watching this lecture about Sylvia Plath when I was 17, 16, and this guy was like, this was a really good lecture and he was a good professor from whatever uni, I don't know, and he was talking about this like concept of like this like dark space, dark universe that the poets enter when they write. And I think anyone who writes like significantly in their life, who appreciate the art of writing, I would say everybody who cannot live without writing, they I think they know what the professor was about. Like he was talking about this like dark space that you enter when you write, and like when you're just by yourself, and yeah, like that it doesn't like feel real. And like he was talking about like the importance of poetry. Why it is so important is that like the poets like give yourself like give you a portal to that world. And I think that the world that is in the question is like this world of like complete irrational, um, raw like sensuality, like, you know. And I think, and he said like that, like poets need to like get out of there sometime, because if you like are stuck in there, if you spend too much time in there, like you end up like most of the poets do. And I honestly think that's like such a true, true vision on that, true opinion on that, true hypothesis, in a sense that I think that's exactly what happened to all of these poets. Like, I think they just like literally were stuck in that dark place where you, because they were pretty, even Sylvia Plath, who I would say she's like not considered a very, let me text it, let me translate the word, very prolific, very prolific poet. She still wrote a lot. She wrote a lot. Like, the fact that she wrote just one novel like doesn't say anything. Like, she wrote a lot. And the like this place of like all these like poets who wrote a lot, but then they like end up in a grave at 30. Like, I think it's just very demonstrative of this hypothesis of people being stuck in that place where they write a lot and they're like in that like dark, space of like their own emotions that they like transmit to the readers, however they pay for it with their own life, because they don't get out of it, they don't get out of that space. Yeah, and I really loved that idea. Like, obviously I loved it if I didn't forget about that in like 3 years after watching that fucking lecture. So literally watch the lectures on YouTube, they're so good and they're free. Yeah. So it also like formed kind of my opinion on like writing, in a sense that I was like, yeah, I need to like not get consumed by my own emotions and my own like sorry guys, I know like 5 languages, I need to translate, sorry, by my like own like artistic inclinations, you know, especially like as a like extremely sensual person. And yeah, that's all. This got really dark, and I'm not even talking about the lightning. And the moon is shining, it's a full moon. Well, that was all, Loki. Bye.